Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, big week.
Big week. I have a serious question for you first, though.
Oh no.
We've got nearly 100 episodes, 80 episodes of podcast, and we're running. You got your big Iron Man and the big expectations of finishing and all the rest. And I'm assuming you're feeling a bit of nerves and all the rest. And I'm heading to my fifth or sixth double marathon. I'm actually at the stage now where I've lost count how many marathons I've done. And sometimes you second guess yourself, and on social media you always have those kind of people who like be negative, like, hey, this is not the only way of doing things and all the rest. And you have a nutrition course as well under your belt, and I have my own strength conditioning, and just going on with you and your nutrition course. So we ran on Sunday, and your nutrition for that was to have a pork stir fry on the Saturday and finish it off on the Sunday morning. And let me tell you, it was absolutely horrible. And I want to ask you in front of everyone right now, do you feel like a fucking hypocrite?
Absolutely not. Got the carbs in, got the protein in, didn't waste food. It was economical, sustainable.
There's a lot of methane gases coming out of you as well along that 22K. I was suffering. I was suffocating.
That was the turbo boost. To be honest, like it was a long weekend of training. We did a 150-kilometer cycle followed by a 10-mile run on the Saturday. Then I didn't want to be on my own on Sunday, so I texted you early morning to see if you were going running because it was Sunday. I had a feeling I had a big Chinese the night before to eat back some of the calories I burned, and some of it was left over for Sunday morning's fuel before a half marathon. So
I don't even know how you do that when you're not training. Like I never talk about nutrition. I never promote like nutrition stuff like that because like I'm like I don't know you can do what I do because I just have me Weetabix whatever and away I go. But pork stir fry, man.
it's more so the rice. I love rice.
Yeah.
So like some people have porridge, and like I'll eat porridge before a race day, and I'll have this. But like if I have rice the night before, and rice is usually my go-to the night before any big event, and there's usually a couple of forkfuls left over the next morning because I just like rice.
Do you know what? I'm going to throw it back to you. I'm going to give you a point in this one. Just because. Generally, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say generally, we don't have rice for breakfast. But I'm sure, people eat different things in the continent and everything else. You're kind of like, oh, that's the thing someone eats for breakfast. That's usually a dinner type thing. So, why is rice not a thing for breakfast? Because it is for you and it works for you.
If there's one thing I've learned in 180 episodes of this podcast is I'm not going to convert people to eating rice before.
I'm not saying that either.
What we are going to do is in this episode, Sean, have a great guest, and we are talking about coming up in our 180. We are approaching just over the 37,000 downloads. We have come a very long way since our very first episode a few years back. And it's nice to be reminded of what it was like on our day ones and what it was like to be part of a starting journey, and to just like we have a lot of great guests. We've had fantastic guests giving us their opinions, what works for them, and people are going, Eric eats rice the next morning. What a sicko! But what we are learning is don't judge everything. Some people have a banana, some people just have a coffee. What works for people is what works for people, and I suppose what this podcast is all about is getting everyone's insight into what makes them, what makes them achieve great things, and what helps them and promotes them to tell others how they got there. And someone along the way through all of our episodes might get a nugget or two from some of the great people we have on. And this week we have another great person.
So who do we have this week on the Any Given Runday podcast?
So this week, Sean, we have Celina Stephenson, and Celina's job this week is to remind us what it's like to start that journey again. It's absolutely amazing to hear the positivity about just getting the shoes on and getting out running. She says she runs slow. She says why she's running slow and how good it is to be involved. How there's so many people out there that are taking such guidance from her being able to just get out and just be, and just not be worried about that time on Strava and not be worried about the paces. It's all just about getting out, enjoying running, and really learning to love that running. And it's something we've said for a long time. We struggled to call ourselves a runner because we weren't running that marathon supreme pace, but we've done enough now to say that we are runners. But Celina has embraced the fact that she puts on her shoes a couple of times a week. She runs. She is a runner, and she's bringing so many people with her on such a positive journey. And it's It's actually a great story to follow, and we're really interested to see how she goes. We don't want to give too much away, so let's kick into this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast.
Before let's go, I do have to be honest about this one. There is something about this that bothers me just a little bit, and you might find out 2-3 minutes into this week's episode of the podcast. You've been following our journey. It is a great listen, but there's a small little thing that bothers me about it. And with that said, let's go. So, Eric, who do we have this week on the Any Given Runday podcast?
Well, first of all, we have the best podcast producer I have ever seen, Sean Coffey. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Don't rub me up with that. Like, literally before you hit the record button, you're like, nah, just say whatever, be relaxed, enjoy it. We don't even produce or nothing to do with it. The absolute effort that goes into the producing end of it. And all you do is just talk shite on it. So I'm hoping you shut up on this one. You tell me who we got to talk on this week's episode of the podcast.
Well, Sean, we do a lot of talking, but we have Celina Stephenson who's coming on this week. The reason Celina's coming on, she embodies the mantra I have lived by: run slow and someday you'll go fast. And that is exactly what we're doing. Celina, you are very welcome to the podcast. How are you keeping?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's my first one, so excited. Very excited.
We have done many and we still don't know how to do them, so you might teach us a thing or two even still.
All faking it till we make it.
Celina, let's kick off. You're training for a marathon.
I am. Even you saying that out loud, I'm like, am I? Scary to hear it. I am. I'm training for the London Marathon next April. It's April 21st. It's probably around 200 days from now. Ooh, scary.
And for anyone who's following you on Instagram, and I know I follow you on Instagram, I love your stories, your reels. You're counting down the days, which I find absolutely terrifying.
I know. I don't know why I do it to myself. I don't. I know.
But a lot of people are getting on board with what I'm going to call the Celina method of running slow. So how is it you got started in running? What started this running bug?
Right. So probably about 10 years ago, I signed up it was just like a school program where you had to get into some sort of community run or whatever. So I did that, and I was training with my mom, and I hated every second of it. Like I just couldn't do it. I genuinely started to believe not for me. And I think that's a common story for a lot of people. Like, running is not for me. You start to think you're special. Like, everyone else can do it, not me. And that was me. Like, my mom was only telling me yesterday, I was telling her about the podcast, and she was like, just remember where you come from. Like, she used to bring me out running. I would run 100 feet and be like, like hyperventilating. Just was not for me. I hated it. I did the run. I fundraised, hated it. And then the next 5-6 years, continued to hate it. And I have a coach at the moment, so just a general health and fitness coach. And it was back in June, she started to like implement a few runs back into my training plan. And I was like, okay, like, I guess I'll do them. Like, it was pulling teeth. And then I literally randomly woke up one day and I was like, I'm sick of hating running. Like, I'm sick of it. And if other people can't, I kind of flipped the narrative. Like, if other people can do it, so can I. Instead of my whole life, I said, everyone else can do it and I can't. I was like, why can't I? The only reason I can't is because I don't have cardio fitness. That's the only reason. Like, realistically, like, we all make up excuses for why we can't run, but like, realistically, that's the truth. So I decided to document it on TikTok to hold myself accountable. And that's kind of how it started. And then I signed up for a marathon on the same day.
It's definitely a baptism of fire, all right?
Well, because you can't pull out when you've signed up for the London Marathon and get a spot. You can't pull out. Yeah,
that's my real first question. It's not how you got into running. Are you telling me? Because now be careful this answer, because you're going to annoy a lot of us, myself included. Are you telling me the first time you signed up for the lottery for the London Marathon, you got in?
No.
Okay, that's all right.
No.
I'm okay. No. Okay, I was on edge there. I'm like, say, you've never done a marathon, you signed up for London Marathon, and all of a sudden you're straight in. So how'd you get into the London Marathon?
So when the ballot was happening, I didn't even have this idea in my head. I still hated running. And so that was April, I think. See, I'm saying too much. I'm on your running podcast.
We appreciate the honesty.
I love running now, okay? So that's all that matters. But back then I wasn't a fan still. And then, so I started running properly again in June, and I signed up for the charity place. So I got in through Children with Cancer. So I'm fundraising for them, Children with Cancer UK. So I have to raise £2,000 by next September, I think. And I got a spot. I signed up for 2 or 3 charities, and I got the second one that I applied for. So,
well, it's absolutely brilliant. And I suppose for motivation, and it's a reason why a lot of people take on marathons. Like, we've had a lot of guests on the podcast who've done marathons for other people or for a better cause than themselves. And what you're saying is exactly it. It's, I hate running, but I can go through this hatred for it because it's for this better person. And somewhere in there you begin to actually love it, and then you kind of have to be like, oh yeah, I still hate it because
I hate it. It's like, no, you don't. No, I don't. I love it now. I have the bug. I have the running bug, and I genuinely don't know how I got here. Like,
did you
something changes in your mind?
I wouldn't have crossed the road 10 years ago. I wouldn't have. And it's something like, even through the military training, it was something that was forced on me. I was like, oh my God, here we go again with the running. And it was only when we got into this marathon, me and Sean had the worst day out in our entire friendship, where we nearly killed each other in the Dublin Marathon. Both of us took on a marathon with no right to do it. And through 21K, we just slugged it out for the remainder. But over the years and over the podcast, we've learned a thing or two and made a hell of a lot of mistakes. But now we've developed that pathway to enjoy it. And it's
incredible, isn't it? I think you need to throw yourself into it fully. You just need to throw yourself in. You can't do it you can't half-arse it. You have to just say, no, this is it. Like, if you're serious about it, That's what I found for myself.
Yeah, and it's another thing as well, when you're throwing yourself into it, you've obviously gone very social. So your social media, you picked up about 12,000 people when you just came out and said, ladies, let's just run slower and let's enjoy it. At what point did you have the epiphany that slow is now fun?
Because slow was my only option. That's the thing. Like, some people think I'm doing it by choice, and I'm like, no, I can't run. Like, I can't. Like, my dad passed me in the car one day when I was running, and he was like, you can't call that a run. And I was like, don't you dare. I run if I want. No, it wasn't. It was not a choice. It was just what I had to do to get the distance done. And that's what I was like. I just wanted to build up my endurance. And obviously there's so many different ways to go about running. Like, even in my comments, I get a lot of experienced men generally popping their head in and saying, like, that's not at all how you should be doing it. And I'm like, it's working for me. So I've taken it slowly, and I'm building it up, like, week on week on week. And that's just what's working for me. And it's working for a lot of people as well.
It's mad how people just think like they got to a marathon one way, and they're like, that is the absolutely only way to do it. Like, we've even had guests in this podcast to, like, we always talk about go slow to go fast, the 80-20 and stuff like that. And then when some of the podcasts go, actually, I did it this way. And we're not like, no, you shouldn't do it that way. One, they have good times and stuff to back it up, but even times regardless, they end up doing it. There's no one sole blueprint. I know from my end, going slow to go fast meant that throughout my training, I don't get injured as much. So first couple of years of running,
so important,
constantly injured. Even this past week, I went for a 16K run, and I ran at a 5-something pace that I'm not used to because I haven't done it for a while. I felt horrible afterwards. Achilles was at me, limping through work. And then I ran with this other agent on Sunday, and we were at a 6:10, 6:15 pace, and 22K we did, and like, amazing. Absolutely grand, no pain the next day. And it's like, probably got more out of it as well, more aerobic fitness, more that kind of zone 2, zone 3 training rather than the threshold running, because too many of that threshold running, and all of a sudden I'm not running anymore. I'm back being injured and can't do anything for another couple of weeks, months, whereas the slow, it is literally the long game, like, it's that whole marathon sprint thing.
That's the thing. And I think that's why my social media kind of like popped off. Like, I started my Instagram 3.5 weeks ago, and there's 30,000 people there now, like, because I'm sharing like a very realistic side to running. Like, everyone thinks they can't run because they see the people going out and shooting off, sprinting off and going for 20K, and feeling like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do it. And I think when I come in and just say, you can slow down, you know, and it's like I'm finding a lot of people my own age and everything. I think it's nice for people to see someone like them going out and like doing the thing, essentially, just going out, getting it done, slow and steady, not being embarrassed by it. Like so many people, I'm getting so many DMs just saying, I'm so embarrassed to be out doing an 8-minute kilometer pace. I'm like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. You can't get better without going out and doing it, you know? And you're just going to injure yourself if you do try and hate it.
True.
And that's it. And what you're speaking to is, so we always say seeing is believing. If you can see someone do something, you then can believe you can do it. So like we are surrounded in circles where we see people do sub 3-hour marathons. I'm not doing a sub 3-hour marathon
ever in my life.
But what is seeing and believing is to see someone who you can relate to, and say, do you know what? If that girl can do it, I can do it. And it's something we spoke about when we said, and always when people come back to like, what's your tips for marathon training? I always go off your heart rate, slow it down, don't worry about pace. And I was like, look, the first 4 or 5 weeks are really, really frustrating because some woman walking her dog is going to walk faster than you are running. But just embrace the shuffle, embrace that movement, and just the fact you're outdoors. You're not having 190 beats per minute for your 1, 2, 3, 4K. And 1K is better than OK. And that's how you should take to this kind of journey.
Yeah. And the second you start to lean into that as well, the shame goes. Like you lose the shame. It's not there anymore because you're comparing yourself to yourself last week. Like I did 3K in June and I was really struggling with that. I was able to do it, but I really struggled. I did it in like 23 minutes or something and it felt horrible. Like, and then I'm doing an 11K now on Thursday. That's massive for me. That is absolutely massive. I don't care how long it takes me. I did a 10K last week in 78 minutes. Thrilled. Genuinely thrilled, you know?
And that's what we say as well with this podcast. Like me and Sean going out, okay, look, we've done a few of these. We've done a few heavy events. So mileage is there. But we always say, us going doing a half marathon is not impressive. But someone who has dedicated themselves to getting through their first 10K, to getting through the first 3K, is far
1K.
more
just getting out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. It's far more impressive than any marathon we'll do in the future. Backyard ultras, Ironman. You know, like it's impressive. Yes, for us, it's us versus us. But we are always far more amazed by people who are like, you know what? I am really not good at this. I'm really scared of this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go and do it. And it is the best stories we ever find on this podcast is ones of people who were like, you know what, I started at a kilometer, I've done my 10K, I've done my half marathon, now I've done my first ever marathon. And that's why personally I love watching your reels, because I'm like, oh, there's a journey. You know, like
the journey. People love a journey. Yeah, because like if I can do it, you can do it. If you can do it, I can do it. That's what it's about. Just like, and I hope to inspire people to get out and just like, even if you take 10 steps out the door and you think, oh, I hate this, at least you tried and you'll try again tomorrow, you know, like it's better than nothing.
Celina, do you do all your runs then by yourself, or do you do with a friend or a group, or how do you approach it?
So I generally run by myself. A lot of people don't like that, but I quite enjoy it and it's what I've gotten used to. But in saying that, I have started a run club for the slower paced gals in London. It's only starting this Sunday, so October 8th. Scared, nervous, but excited. I think there's going to be like 60 people or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. I can't even think about it. I'm nervous. But I live in Ireland, but my boyfriend lives in London, so it'll be a monthly thing. Like I go back and forth. But yeah, so I'll be running with them. And so far the group they just seem like amazing people, you know, really determined, motivated to just get out and do it. So yeah. And then I sometimes run with my mom, but that's about it.
So taking the run club out of it then, we're heading into winter, you know, you got the miles in, heading towards London.
Yeah.
You're looking outside and the weather's starting to get worse, you know, starting to rain more, starting to get colder. You don't know about that extra layer. What gets you from that couch, whether it's the fire, the radiator on that Sunday morning, or let's say Thursday going for 11K and all of a sudden, you know, Storm Agnes or whatever the next storm comes along starts coming. I'm not saying in the middle of a storm where orange weather warnings, but obviously, you know, weather's bad, it's not good. What gets you out that door? Do you have a set routine? Do you have like you put a headphones on, music, or are you just like, nah, I'm going out and that's it? What gets you in that mindset to go out for those runs on days you don't want to run?
Okay, well, speaking of, just a little story first. Have you heard of eco trails?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I did eco trails on Saturday.
Oh, you did Wicklow?
Yeah, I did Wicklow. So I've actually done it. This kind of sounds a bit crazy after me just saying I don't run and everything, but I've done it the last 3 years, but I've always just treated it like a hike, like a kind of an intense hike. I put no time pressure on myself. The first year I did 19K in 4.5 hours. I did a coffee break. Like I stopped at the cafe for 30 minutes. Like it was not serious at all.
In your defense though, you like for people who don't know the Eco Trail in Wicklow, the first kilometer is along the promenade. And then you're going straight up Braehead. So like I did the longest one last year. Now thankfully I had a lot better weather than you had. I had a beautiful day. But like even the elite of the elite are hiking up that hill. Now they're bombing it downhill and they pass me out like there's no tomorrow. But like when you say 19K hike, for most people, a lot of it you're going through like the little Sugarloaf. Did you get to the Sugarloaf that stage in 19 or near
Not
there?
the Sugarloaf, but the little Sugarloaf.
The little Sugarloaf, Winegates Hill, which is a hell of a hill.
Yeah.
Like it's constant hills to that 19K. So when you say you hiked a lot of it, most people hike a lot of that.
That's
so
true.
That 4.5 hours is not comparable to doing a half marathon 21.1 at Phoenix Park. It's not even the same fucking event. It's not the same
different.
Sport. Yeah, so sorry, just cut across there on that one. Just for people to get their head around that one. So you're saying you've done the last 3 years 19K.
Yeah, that was much needed context as well. I didn't give any of that context. But so I did it the last 3 years. The first year was 4.5. I actually did it in 3:40 last year, I think. And then this year, the rain, like speaking of your question, it took me out. Like I did it with my mom and she didn't finish. Like she's some trooper, she even started, but it was horrible. Like the train was awful. And if I'd known it was going to be that bad, I don't know if I would have gone. So it's kind of like, for me, I literally just have to put one foot out the door. Like I can't think about it too much. If I start to overthink it and I start to think, oh, what if I get up, if I go out and I end up slipping? It's like, what if? Like I just need to go get it done. And also now with training for a marathon, like if I let myself slip one time, I mean, it's okay to slip one time, of course, like we're all human, but if I keep letting myself slip, like it's just not going to get done. That's just the thing. You need to get it done. And that's what I've found. That's how I'm loving the journey, is because I'm staying consistent with it. And I never did before. And that's what made me hate it, because I would just be pushing myself out the door, having not run for 3 months, trying to do a 5K. Like, it's not going to work. Whereas if you
that is the thing. Like we've had Rachel Smith on the podcast, and she's gone to the World Championships, and she's talked of a half Ironman, and all she talked about was consistency.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, she was like, I wasn't working harder than athletes, I wasn't working less, but when I was doing it consistently. I was training in the morning, I was training in the evening, and she found, even on that scale that me and Sean can't even get our heads around, that she enjoyed the consistency, and her fitness came up with it. She loved the training, even though it was astronomical. And that's I suppose a big takeaway for people, isn't it? It's just just get out that door.
And there's something so rewarding about showing up for yourself and also seeing that progress. And not every week you're gonna, be better than last week. Like your time might be 5 minutes slower or whatever, but you just did it again. Like you just went out and did it again. And next week you're going to go and do it again. And it might be a bit faster or it might be a bit longer. Like it's really rewarding to actually do that. Like it's a sense of pride that I haven't really felt otherwise. Like to that level, like really showing up for yourself. And also it's the one sport where you're constantly putting more and more time in every week. With the gym, you might get stronger, but you're probably spending similar amounts of time. Running, you're giving a lot of time to running every week. Like hours of your time. And that's something that you should be so proud of as well. Like that you're really putting that time aside for yourself. And I've just loved it. I've loved the journey.
Yeah, it's a great way. Look, I never thought of it that way. Like you can get strong in the gym, but you're 3 hours a week, and if you put more time in the gym, sometimes be to your detriment. Where the
Yeah.
running, you do need to keep adding and adding. Celina, do you have any milestones between now and leading up to London, or are you working with a coach to build yourself towards London, or are you off your own plan, or how are you approaching it?
So I have a coach. She's a general health and fitness coach. She's Selkie Fit on Instagram. So she's guiding me to London. Otherwise, I'm thinking of signing up for a half marathon maybe in January, but I don't have anything booked as of now. But I do think I should get one in early in the year, so it's not a massive shock to my system. Because, like as I said, with eco trails, like the distance is pretty much a half marathon, but it's a totally different experience. Like, like you can't compare them. So I do need to get one under my belt. I just need to figure out, what that is first.
So with your coach right now, are you doing strength training then, or gym work 2-3 times a week, and then running 2-3 times, or how would a week look for you?
Yeah, so I do one short run and one long run at the moment. That could change. I'm sure it'll change close to the time, but I still have a good few months. And then I do 2 strength training days a week. They're only about 45 minutes an hour. Like, I have limited enough time. So I don't want to be spending so much time in the gym. I much prefer running to being in the gym. So kind of short, sweet, get it done. And then I sometimes throw in a yoga class, but that's kind of me. And then I get out for a lot of steps.
She's already a step ahead of us, Eric, with the yoga. I'm trying to get back into it again, but she's already a step ahead of us.
Yoga's great.
I can't wrap my head around it. And it helped me get back to running again. And I haven't done the last 2 weeks. And every time I could feel the hamstring just a little bit. And I know
you need to do it.
I know.
Consistency, Sean. Consistency.
I know.
It's one thing I've realized as well, coming up to 3 weeks to the Ironman. And I have said to myself, like, what's the priority for the next 3 weeks? So the weekend for me just gone, Sean was a part of some of that, because I had spent so much time on my own. I needed company on Sunday. I was like, will you please run with me?
Yeah, please.
But
I know.
Me, and Sean said to me, what's your priority for the next 3 weeks? It's like yoga. I was like, if anything I need to do is make sure that the body is functioning mechanically. Tiredness I'll deal with, but let's not get injured, and let's just keep ticking away and working on those things. And for gals who are getting out there and guys who are getting into it, it's something that me and Sean would echo is you seem to be doing it absolutely perfectly. So you're doing a little bit of gym work, and you're only just doing 2 runs a week. You're easing yourself into it.
Yeah. Injuries
such as shin splints and plantar fasciitis, all that people are getting because they're just going, right, 10 runs this week, marathon next week. Like it's you're taking a very good path with it. And how have you found that? Have you found injury free? Are you enjoying it, or have you had any niggles along the way?
Totally injury free. Like, I got my gait analysis done for my shoes, which I'm so grateful I did. Like, that was another thing I found out through social media, which I wouldn't have, because at the end of the day, I'm just your bog standard runner, like I didn't know what a gait analysis was. So I got online, I was saying, what are the cute shoes that I should be getting? Just so naive. Like, oh, what's your favorite shoe? And everyone's like, no, get your gait analysis done. So there are a few things that I did, to set myself up well, but otherwise totally injury free. Yeah. Because I'm doing it at my own pace. And I've said to my coach, like, I really don't want to be spending so much time. Like, I want to have a life around it, balancing everything is very important to me. Otherwise it'll become a chore, and I really don't want it to be a chore.
Yeah. And it's something that I found with the Ironman. My life is the Ironman, and that's
I'd
just
say
the way
so with
it
an
is.
Ironman. Yeah, like fair play to you.
I'm kind of glad to see the back of it, because I just want to wake up and not have an event looming over me. Whereas, like what you're saying, what you're trying to encourage, and maybe I'm wrong in picking you up on this, is it's a lifestyle you're looking for people to get involved in, and the holistic approach to getting out for that jog, getting out for that bit of headspace. And as you said, as the weeks go on, it turns in from an hour a week to 2 hour a week of you time to process a week and have some thoughts with yourself.
See, that's the thing. Like, it's just such once you get into the rhythm of it, once you get past the I'm not having a good time part of the run, which is what everyone gives up. I think that's when everyone gives up. You know, they say, oh, I hated that run again, give up. But if you get through that, running becomes enjoyable and you end up looking forward to it. I mean, it's always going to be tough. Like it's not easy, but it gives you time to yourself or with your music or whatever, like time that I would have spent otherwise on my phone, just scrolling. I'm semi-addicted to my phone. So anytime I can get away from it is good time.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people reaching out to us who are feeling the fear of Dublin Marathon being around the corner.
Yeah.
Something that you know is happening in April and you may be experienced with. Are you going to be around the Dublin Marathon course? Are you going to be there to kind of sample some of the atmosphere and see some of the people who are struggling through 42? Is that going to put you off it, or are you going to be happy to go and have a look?
I don't think it would put me off it, to be honest. What date is it exactly? Is it 4 weeks?
October Bank Holiday Sunday. I think it's 29th to 30th.
I think I'll go. Like, I find that quite exciting, I think.
Well, if you go to the starting line, you'll get a buzz for it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
If you go from the 24-mile line on, and it was like last year, I'm not too sure that's a good place. It was like a war zone last year, if I'm honest with you.
Finish line.
Finish line, you get a great buzz. That's when everyone's, the tears are coming out, they're feeling good.
Yeah, I love that.
3-4 crowds deep, that's good. But
that's what running is to me, though. Like that finish, like you did it, you know? You did it. And it's such an amazing feeling when you finish. Yeah, so I want to be there. I think I do want to be there.
And there's always a lot of motion. People run for different reasons and all the rest. And obviously you're running for a great cause as well. Do you feel that extra little pressure, or do you think you will feel that extra little pressure? You're raising all this money and you're getting there in the big day.
No, I don't. Like I'm just not putting pressure on myself. Because if I get it done, like that is such an accomplishment to me, like massive. And I think the thing is as well is that like I've also had some comments being like, oh, if I sign up for a race, like I'm going to be last place and it's going to be so embarrassing. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but it's like, I don't care. You just have to learn to not care. Like Eco Trails, I was alone on the top of a hill, total fog around me with the cows. It was me and the cows. Like I came 30th. I don't care. I got it done, you know?
Agreed. Yeah, I can talk about doing a long one as well, but hey, I was in the bottom 10-20% of that as well. And I know that feeling being up there, everything except the fog. I had a beautiful day up there. You would have loved it.
I did it last year was incredible, the weather.
Yeah.
But this year you didn't get any of those views, you got fog. Just great fog. But you just you just have to remember that you could have been sitting on the couch. There are so many people, and there's nothing wrong with not doing a marathon, but like you're comparing yourself to everyone in the race, but you're not comparing yourself to everyone who's not in the race, which is the majority of people, you know? Like if you're in it, you're amazing.
You have a great mindset to it. You've got a great approach, and you talk about you've got a lot of followers there on Instagram and TikTok. You mentioned a few that already, and you kind of touched on a little bit. How do you deal with the negative comments and you should run this way? Have you had you seem to have a fair bit of that already. Has that gotten to you? Has it given you any sort of negative reaction where you have to go, okay, I'll put this phone away for 30 minutes and go for a run or do something, take your mind off it? Have you had those kind of things yet?
Yeah, so I get them the odd time. It's thankfully not too much. I think that would start to get I'd start to question myself, you know. I start to be like, oh, maybe they are. If everyone's saying it, maybe they are, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm only a beginner, you know, like somewhat beginner. I really am. So it's like if everyone's saying it, maybe I should be looking into it and thinking about it more or whatever. But it's people who come into my comments and don't know my journey at all, don't know my health or anything, and they're just saying what they're saying based on their experience. And it's like, okay, that experience is valid. You got yourself to a marathon. You did an amazing time. So you think you know what's best for me, and maybe you do, but maybe you don't. And I think that's like people are often comment on my heart rate because my heart rate goes up quite high, and they say, oh, you have to go to a doctor right this second, like that's so dangerous and everything. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, sorry, I'm not going to say no, it's not, because it might be for somebody, but like I've been to a doctor, I've been cleared, you know. It's all these different things of like, you just have to take it with a pinch of salt. There's always going to be those people who are saying things.
Yeah, your match start rate could be completely different. And I think the best athletes don't make the best coaches. I might alienate a lot of people here, but I'm an Aston Villa fan. Steven Gerrard was a great footballer, but he did nothing for Villa as a coach. We're doing well now, but like athletes and coaches are like it's completely different. Just because you can run it doesn't mean you can coach or teach it. And like you said, there's so much going on when you like all you're putting up is a small segment of your training at that time, and it's so hard to get so much context into that one post of what you're doing. Like it's so different. You can't constantly be bringing it up over and over and over again, and then your followers know what's going on, but that one person that jumps in because maybe
the new people don't. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I was just saying that to my boyfriend earlier. Like I didn't even mention him earlier, but I run with him sometimes. He won't like it. I run with him as well. I was saying to him, I was like, you can't give context in every video. I can't come on and say, hi guys. Like I say sometimes, hi, I'm Celina, I'm a slow runner, but I'm not saying it at the start of everything. And then I get some people saying, but that pace isn't slow. Like, what about me? I run at a 10-kilometer pace. And I'm like, I can't just give context to everything. I can't be like, well, slow is subjective and la 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 la. You just have to kind of put out what you put out, be confident in it, and you're always going to get some sort of criticism online.
And it is a very hard thing, but that's why we admire what you're doing, because you're putting yourself out there to be open to people going, well, you should be doing this on a Wednesday and you should be doing this on a
literally.
And it's something we always give guidance on, and then put the big stars and say, but everyone is different.
Yeah,
everyone has different. Like Sean laughed at me. I ate the leftovers of a pork fried rice there before our big run on Sunday.
As you should.
How do you do this? I was like, well, I'm beside you, haven't I?
You'd have run 22K with him, Celina. If you did, you'd agree with me on that one.
No, I do agree with you, Sean, because I had a big dinner before one of my runs, and I was running on a treadmill, and I had to get off because I nearly got sick. Like I nearly vomited. Like it was that bad. So I do agree with you.
He had a lot. Yes, I somehow nearly got sick, and it wasn't because the cows and stuff in the fields that was going on.
But my point is, everyone is so individual, even to the shoes they choose to wear, to the socks, compression socks, and it's whatever gets you by, and that's why we admire what you're doing, because you're saying this is me, this is my story, and others like me, not exactly like me, but like me, take some solace in the fact that I'm not doing a 4:55. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm just being me, and come along, and that's what it's all about.
Because we're used to seeing, the super advanced people online, but it's like, it's nice to see someone who's just at the start of their journey. And like, that's all it is. That's all it is. I don't have all the answers. Maybe what I'm saying isn't exactly right for you, but it's my journey. That's all people need to understand, really. I'm not trying to
flash forward 4 years really fast and I stop following you.
I know. I'm Celina, I'm a fast runner. Imagine. I'll be winning the races. Imagine.
No, but it's absolutely brilliant. So the best part about having you on is, and why we thought this was a great time to have you on, Celina. Everyone is nervous about the Dublin Marathon, and everyone, as you correctly alluded to throughout this conversation, has probably forgot their day one, has probably forgot the journey. And at this stage, they've completed a lot of their heavy training, and this is getting to the stage of the victory lap. And I suppose it's good to have you on to remind people of how far they're coming and how great they're doing for just going up.
Exactly. And like whenever I get comments or anything saying, oh, I just did a 5K, I'm so proud of myself, I make sure I'm like, you are amazing, because like that is such an accomplishment. And like if you've come from nothing and you're now running a marathon, like you're running a marathon, like people need to remember that. And even if you do come last, like you've actually just done something so amazing. Like that's a bucket list thing for so many people, to run a marathon that people don't think they'll ever be able to do, and you've just gone and done it. Or even the fact that you have the intention to run, it's amazing.
So you're all set. So that's it. We'll have to have you in the podcast again closer to April and see. Hopefully you still have this positive mindset and the marathons. You will. That positive thinking, and you will get there. Just keep pushing yourself, and next thing you know, it's going to be April. It's going to be back spring. Sun's out, and you're in London, and away you go.
London, and it'll be nice and sunny in London. Probably maybe too sunny, actually. Might be too hot in April. Might be wishing for the rain. Oh.
I hope everyone has got something out of the podcast today. You've actually, it was really nice to listen to you, because for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and me and Sean were talking times and we were talking this, and it was nice just to hear someone go, you showed up, and if you cross the line, you cross the line. It's a nice reminder to myself of, look, just showing up and sticking at it is probably the hardest part of it. The race day itself is the victory lap, as a lot of people say at the end of the day. So and that consistency is absolutely brilliant. Is there a plan for a run club in Dublin in the Phoenix Park? Is there going to be a chance for me and Sean to go run slow with you?
Oh, I'm thinking maybe in the new year. I've had a few people asking. I think maybe in the new year. The only reason I actually am setting it up in London, because a lot of my followers are from England, but I've been getting more people in from Ireland. So yeah, why not? Why not?
I can't wait. That is going to be the one run I've been looking forward to all year.
Running at an 8-kilometer pace together.
Oh my God. As long as we can stop for ice cream and coffee as well.
Oh, of course. That's absolutely. That's what it's about.
Well, Celina, if people are looking to get in touch, obviously we will leave the link into your Instagram, your Linktree, for people to follow your journey. Is there any other messages you'd like to give anyone who's starting their journey or wants to follow along with you?
Follow along with me, because I am just a little, I like to be a little positive space of the internet. I'm a little encouraging little corner, but I just think if you're getting out there and doing it, you're amazing. Genuinely, because I was that person at the start of my journey, having no idea what to do, where to turn, thinking I was the worst runner in the world. And you can do it just like I can. That's all I have to say.
Excellent. Absolutely brilliant. And look, we are definitely going to have you back on, Celina. It's been absolutely wonderful to chat to you. It's great to watch it. It is going to be great to watch your journey, and it'll be great to see you take on London. We know you're going to do great. We will keep in touch, and we will share out some of your stuff if that's okay, and make sure that people are supporting you for some great charities and keeping you motivated on your path as well. And hopefully we do see you for a run in Dublin in the new year.
Yes.
But until then, we'll keep in touch.
Thanks so much, guys. It was so fun being on. Loved it.
I'm so jealous you're running London.
Oh, God. Get over it.
Sorry, happy they're out there.
And then Sean is about to cry his way into
I know. I'm sorry. I'll give you my spot. If I end up bailing, I'll give it to you.
I'll change my mind. I'm like, I want to do. And you're like, here, I have a spot. I can't do anymore. Yeah, actually, I don't really want to do it anymore. I was just saying, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I'm not ready.
And before Sean cries himself this evening, that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. Celina Stephenson, it has been amazing to talk to you. Thanks for being positive. Thanks for bringing all of us who have gotten embedded in the Strava world back to reality of where we've come from. And we all take a little bit of pride in just getting out and doing them kilometers. But thanks so much. It's been absolutely amazing. And we have a look at the show notes for anyone who wants to get in touch with Celina and into the future. That's it for myself, Sean, and Celina. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.